On this episode of Bedtime Comics with a Redneck, we will be going over Supernatural Issue 1. Pretty neat little cover. So, going into this, you do need to have some background on Season 1 of Supernatural. This takes place between Season 1 and 2, which I don't know how that works because the ending of Season 1 led directly into Season 2. Like there wasn't even a minute's difference in it. So I don't know how that works. But anyway, that's where they say it fits. So it starts with this guy talking about he's going to hit it big and he's drunk and he falls down the stairs and cracks his bottle of whiskey or whatever, and something comes out and sets his arm on fire and burns his whole body up. So that's kind of like how a regular episode of Supernatural would start. Is they kind of hint at what the episode's going to be about before they shift over to Sam and Dean. So now we go over to Sam and Dean, who's in a diner, and Dean comes over to Sam and he's like, "Hey, I need your wallet. My credit card got rejected." And Sam's like, "Well, yeah, because it wasn't a real credit card." So Dean's over here, like he is always. He's hitting on the waitress, and Sam starts having visions of his girlfriend that got burned up. Usually he has these in dreams, but he tells Dean, "Well, this time I was awake when I had it." And so you still have the Sam having visions going on at this time period. Uh, Dean's like, "Hey, we're going to find the monster that done this to your girlfriend and to our mom." And Sam's like, "Well, we've got to go check this out because I've got a feeling about it." So they're driving down here to this location that where the guy caught fire, and they're talking. So first off, you get a conversation with Dean not wanting Sam to tell their father that the credit card was a fake. And Sam's like, "Well, we don't even know where he's at." So that's still playing into Season 1 a little, to where there for a long while they didn't even know where their daddy was. So to me, this doesn't feel like it plays between Season 1 and 2. This feels like it plays as in betweens for Season 1 episodes, is what this feels like. Uh, and Dean's got issues with his daddy still. Uh, so they get to the factory where the guy who got burned up worked at, and they notice that there's burn marks all over the building. And when they go in, well, we'll get to that later. They go on to the guy's house first and meet his wife. and they pose as like workers for the company. They represent the company, and the only thing they find is this whiskey bottle that's been broke open, and the wife isn't all that upset about it. She keeps talking about how he wouldn't ask for no raise after years and years, and he come up with a majority of all their $1 million ideas and stuff, and uh, says he was always drinking and that he set himself on fire. So they go, and of course they start going over the case and all, and they run into, they like to discuss that this is, Dean believes it's spontaneous human combustion, and Sam tells him, hey, this doesn't even exist. Like he said, if we're dealing with fire, then we're dealing with demons or dragons, you know. And they run into this woman, and she says she works at the brewery that the guy worked at. And, you know, she is kind of like, oh, so y'all work for us? And they're like, yeah. And then, you know, she's like, well, New York said they was going to send some people down. So she goes with them to the factory, and they find out that the lab that he worked in was burned down too. So the lab gets burned down the next day after he dies, and they keep finding these whiskey bottles that's been broke open down there. After a little bit, they find out that it's an imp, that this guy had managed to figure a way to capture and imprison an imp, and he would give you all kinds of rewards and stuff, earthly rewards, and but it would cost him his soul. So they end up encountering the imp. They figure out iron works on it, so they use iron. It's trapped outside because salt's already been placed around everything. As the story progresses, you find out that the woman that's with him was responsible for getting the guy to imprison the demon. She was the CEO of the company, and whoever imprisons the imp loses her soul. So Sam and Dean have a little fight over who's going to sacrifice herself, and the CEO ends up doing it, ends up imprisoning the imp, and just walks away like it's no big deal, which leads to your typical ending of Supernatural, where the brothers are discussing what they just went through, and Sam can't understand how somebody can just lose their soul and just keep moving, and Dean's just like that. It's just the way people are, and they run into the problem of they're out of money, so of course they're going to Las Vegas, and that's where issue 1 ends. This is all the different covers. So that's the quick review of the story now, I break it down a little more and how I feel about it. I think it was a good number one, a good way to start the series. The art's a little, it's not bad, but it's not what I would consider great either. I mean, it's serviceable, it's passable, but it really gets on my nerves that we're paying $4 or $5 a book, and we're getting panels where half these people don't even look like they don't even have eyes. It's just almost like a faceless blob. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's odds and ends scenes. I mean, when it needs to be drawn, I mean, it's decent. It's serviceable. I'm happy enough with it. The characters resemble their TV show parts pretty decent. The writing was good on it. I was a little worried when I first started reading it. It felt a little weird, but it quickly become like another episode of Supernatural. It kind of followed the same formula. Uh, it was a good read. It it kept me interested in it. I do like that they are still doing the monster approach instead of going back into the demons and angels and stuff. I like that they're still rattling around with their daddy. So there's a lot of good things that could come from this series. Uh, Out of a 1 to 10, I would probably give it. I give it about an 8, 7.5, an 8. I mean, the art could have helped it a little, but like I said, the art's not terrible. Uh, I mean, there was little places it could have improved on, but for the most part, I mean, I'll give it a solid 8. The story stayed on track pretty good. The story kept me in. The characters felt like it fit in the supernatural world. Like a lot of times you get these comic adaptations and they don't feel like what they're supposed to be adapting, but this feels like a supernatural episode. So if you were into the early supernatural stuff, like I prefer the first 2 seasons over the rest of them. This was for me. So if you're into the early supernaturals, start jumping in. It's a good starting point. Issue 1. Uh, Go ahead and hit it up.